Put down the hammer, and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show, yeah. Real estate info galore. So listen up, don't miss it. Hosted by the Savvy Landlord. Oh,
yes, friends and family around the world, you've just tuned in to the radio show, the Savvy Radio Show, and I'm the Savvy Landlord. My name is Steven Van Kallenberg, and I am super excited that you tuned in, that you even listened for 30 seconds this far. But you're going to listen to this whole episode because I have somebody on the radio that I don't even know. I bumped into this guy named Torrey Elston, and he is a native Oklahoman, and he's been doing real estate for 5 years. He has 8 houses, does a flip, knows how to borrow money. That's the first thing that super impressed me with Torrey. I said Terry, didn't I? Did I say Torrey?
You said Torrey.
Okay, cool. All right. And that's him. He's there. And a mutual friend of ours, our banker, has told us about each other for a long time. This banker, John Day is his name. He's a really good close friend of mine. Was super impressed with Torrey, and I should meet this guy someday. And John told you about me and about that I've written a few books, and you should hook up with him. But that was how many years ago?
That was 5 years ago when I first made my first deal.
So 5 years ago, you've known about me. He has not listened to any radio shows. He'll probably listen. This will be his first and last radio show of himself. What in the world, 5 years later, why did you look me up?
I just decided I needed to get more information to grow bigger and faster.
I'm telling you, folks, this is why I like this guy. I don't know him from Adam. This interview is going to be erratic, weird, psycho, all over the place. And I think that you're going to be super impressed with Torrey because I was he says, hey, John told me to buy books from you. And I was like, okay, well, where do I buy them? At the office. And he shows up here, and man, I just got to know this guy. And he when you look at him, he's just an average guy, a regular guy. But when he opens his mouth and tells me that are you a manager of Pearl Vision? What do you do at Pearl Vision?
Currently, I'm actually a manager at LensCrafters.
LensCrafter.
But looking to start a first franchise of Pearl Vision.
Pearl Vision. Congratulations. So this guy, how old are you?
34.
34 years old. You're not playing video games. You are about to purchase a franchise. You have, I would say, almost close to $1 million in real estate, or close to $500,000 and above in real estate.
With personal, at 500.
Yeah, and you have a day job, and you've been doing real estate on the side, and then you obviously have the number one bank in Oklahoma City loan you money, and you're going to open a franchise, and to the tune of you're raising almost $250,000 to open up a thing, and you wear glasses.
Correct.
And you know how to fix glasses.
And sell
them, and they're expensive. So, okay, Oklahoma, where were you born?
I was actually born out in the Panhandle in Beaver, Oklahoma.
Oh, God. No, you did not just say Beaver. Women come to my mind. So, Beaver, Oklahoma, how did you get to Oklahoma? So, tell us, you were born in Beaver, your parents are from Beaver?
Yep, there's all from a small town out there. One was actually from Forgan, and one was from Tyrone, Oklahoma out there.
How many people were in your class?
Graduating class would have been 18 people.
Wow. So, small town, sheltered, I guess. I mean, did you have the internet?
Very slow internet. It was definitely dial-up.
Wow. So you're 34. So you're almost 10 years younger than me. So you grew up in that. Are you considered a millennial?
I haven't quite figured that one out. I'm right there on the border.
Okay. So, all right. So then how'd you get to Oklahoma City? Did you go to school somewhere?
Yep. Whenever I was 16, Mom decided to move to the city, and we ended up just packing up and moving.
Single mom with mom and dad, or?
Yep, single mom. And it was right during the 98 tornado. We moved up here, and apartment we was actually staying in kind of got wiped out, so we started fresh over as soon as we got here.
So the big May tornado in May of 98, you guys moved to Moore?
Yep. Right
into an apartment building.
Correct.
Dang. What's your mom from? What does she do? What was her job?
She was actually she worked at a pig farm out in the Panhandle, but whenever we moved up here, she went to work for a church, and she actually still works there to this day.
Okay, cool. So then did you go to college? do you have education? I don't have education. I'm not saying that to just so people can get a grip of who you are.
I did go to college for about 2 weeks. I sat in the class, and the second week we went into honors calculus class, and they were still teaching how to use a calculator. So I went to CLEP out of all the tests, and I never went back.
Wow. So you went to college, right? Okay. So then you never went back, and then where'd you start working from there?
From there, I was actually already working at LensCrafters. I started just in the lab, and I gradually just worked my way up till I was a retail manager there, and then I decided I wanted bigger and better, so went and played in the oil field for a while, played on a farm, and made my way back to LensCrafters.
So you were like 18, 19, somewhere around there when you first started at LensCrafters, and you were just like a lab tech in the back?
Yep, I was 18 when I first started.
And you did that, how long was that tenure for?
That was for 7 years I worked there.
So 7 years. First of all, I'm amazed that people at your age continue to stick with something for so long. I mean, obviously, you probably wanted things. Your mom was a single mom, probably didn't have any money, am I guessing?
Yep, pretty much.
And so you had to work. And so you worked this job for 7 years, but you're like, I'm not making enough. And you decided to go to the oil field. Did someone recruit you into the, I mean, we're talking about rubbernecking. Like, we're talking about like hard labor, jumping on tankers, and like, what'd you do in the oil field?
Actually, I got really lucky. I had a good friend out in the Panhandle that his dad owned a machine shop. So I was actually responsible for building the rigs and everything. And he bought a bunch of robots that I programmed and everything to do all the welding and everything for him. So
okay, so you're a little nerd.
To a certain extent. If I don't know something, I'll go find it. So.
All right, so you're programming robots. It's a little above my pay grade. Okay, so you moved to Panhandle from Tornado Alley back to the Panhandle. Correct. And you worked there for how long did you work there and you were like working with the software, computers, and like IT-ish?
I did everything.
And manual labor as well?
Drove a tractor, like so you name it, I was doing it there.
Panhandle farm boy with some education. That's cool. So how long did you work there for?
5 years.
Were you tired there? Did you get married there? Did you meet your wife there?
Actually did meet my wife there. My good friend, he introduced us, and we hit it off, and we got engaged there and everything, and then decided she's a school teacher, so there wasn't really too many openings there with the small town. So
my wife went to Hydro, so there was 34 people. So I've heard these crazy no job stories. So she became a teacher there?
She did not.
She wanted
trying to get a teaching. She has got a master's degree and everything in teaching. Couldn't get a job, so she told her to apply anywhere she wanted, and I'd follow.
Oh, okay. Because that was my next question. Was like, how in the world did you get from the Panhandle back to Oklahoma City? Now, during that time, was your mom still living here?
She was.
Okay. So then your wife found Oklahoma City, and she's a school teacher now?
Yep. She taught for 5 years. She just currently became a stay-at-home mom last year because we have 3 young boys.
What, like triplets?
No.
Oh, okay.
Close enough, though. It's 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 7-month-old.
Oh, thank you for being here today. So we're similar in that regard. I got a 7, 5, and 3. Boys, girls, what do you have?
All boys.
Oh, so, man, they can run the ranch for you when you go back to the Panhandle. Do you ever think you'll go back to the small town country feel?
If I buy enough acreage out there.
Well, they may be a Pearl Vision.
There could be.
Okay.
They need something out there.
Yeah, well, they need a lot of things. But they're making oil and they're making money. So you're in Oklahoma City now, following your wife, which is kind of cool. I admire you to do that. A lot of men, I actually was a similar story. I met my wife, and she was all into the medical arena, and I was like, I'm gonna do my thing on the side, real estate, DJ, and you do your thing, because obviously you make way more money than I do. And it's funny that she's a stay-home mom now, but it's cool. I mean, I felt like I sacrificed. Men get their rules, get to do what they want to do, and I think that's cool, Tori, that you said, hey, wherever you want to go. So you obviously should have a healthy and vibrant marriage. 3 children, you're busy. All right, so now what? You're in Oklahoma City. You move back. So the first decision you go is like, where it's safe. You went right back to LensCrafters.
Correct.
And at the same level, so you're just habitual male. I mean, you're just like following this little plan. No offense. So you go back to the same exact store and everything?
Same store, same people still work there, everything. I just slid back in the middle.
Just disappeared for 5 years. It's like a freaking movie. So, and the owner of now, did you know the owner?
It's actually a corporation. So I knew all the higher up managements.
Okay. And then, so you got back into it, moved your way up. And then how'd you get so this whole time, you're still working there today?
Correct.
And so how many years have you been there now?
Combined 13.
So that was 7. So you've been there 5 years now. And then you've been doing real estate for 5 years. So as soon as you got back into Oklahoma City, how did you get into real estate, and how was that a part of your life now?
We really got into it because we was looking for our personal residence, and I mentioned to the realtor that I wanted to eventually start owning some rent houses. So she introduced me to John Day, the banker, and so I actually went and met with him before I even got back on at LensCrafters, and he was nice enough to be like, yep, we'll give you a little bit of a loan here. And so before we even bought our personal residence, I was already looking for a rent house.
You know, this is surreal, bizarre, whatever you want to call it. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy has no influence of real estate at all. I mean, he's something is guiding his steps, but most people, they read a book, they go to the local real estate club meeting. Have you even been to a real estate club meeting?
I have not. I wanted to go last week, but someone called in sick to work, so I ended up going to work.
And you've been working a full-time job, and then you got savvy enough to get pre-qualified with the bank. And then what education have you had in real estate? Have you read, a book at all? Or have you ever heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad? Have you heard of these books at all?
I finally read Rich Dad Poor Dad about 3 years ago. And that's where I really multiplied my rent houses, because we actually just owned 2 up until about 2 years ago. And then read that book and really exploded since then.
Awesome. I love the action. So you get pre-qualified, and then how do you find your first deal? Was your first deal before your residence, or did you move into your residence first?
We did move into our residence first, and then the bank, they pre-qualified us just at $25,000. And so
your own residence was only 25 G's?
No, that's the rent house they pre-qualified us for.
Oh, John did. Oh, way to go, bud. That was like real low.
Yeah, and so what we did is basically I partnered with the realtor, and I told her any house on the MLS that hit around 30,000, send them an offer for 25. And so we was sending 10 offers a week, and then finally about 6 months later we had 2 houses that actually accepted at the same time.
So what year is this?
That was 2012.
Cool. So I love your philosophy, man. That's why I keep gravitating to you. I mean, you're just a simple, hey, I borrow money. Okay. I only have 25,000. So that's how I would think the same way. Put an offer in for 25. So you found 2 offers, and tell me about the properties. Were they, obviously they're trash.
Actually, they were really nice properties. The surprising thing is both houses that accepted it were owned by the same guy. And so he had long-term renters that's been there for 10 years, Section 8. And so I told him, I was like, well, I'm only approved to buy one. And he said the price was only contingent on me buying both. So then I went crawling back to John Day. I'm like, John, this is what I've done. I got 2 offers, and gave him all the information. He goes, well, they're both rented. We'll give it to you both. Covered closing costs, anything. To my surprise, at closing, he even gave me a check.
Dude, this is you're a effing rock star. You're naive, just like when you read my book, bro, it's the same thing. Like John Day said, I'll loan you on that, and I went and bought the apartment building. But when I walked into that lunch meeting, I was like, no, I'm not going to get that. I can't afford it. I'm not worthy. I'm a small time real estate investor. And John's like, no, I'll loan on that. So you're searching for one. You just simple goal, 30,000, 25. You pop 2 for 50. What was the appraisal? And it was a no money down deal. So I'm assuming John started you at 70% LTV, or did he give you 75?
70%.
So 70% you acquire 2 assets with tenants in there, dude. You have no clue, do you, of that you just did the ultimate euphoric real estate, no money down, 2 assets, cash flowing, and you're just like, yeah, okay.
It was extremely lucky, and both tenants are still there to this day.
Buddy, let me tell you, it's not lucky. I do it all day now. When I learned that trick, no money down, and I learned 70%, that's all I do. No, it's not. No, it's a skill. You got lucky per se, and all the clouds aligned, Jesus, whatever you want to call it, you got hooked the F up, okay? But you can do that all day, every day. And I'm assuming you've done it over and over again. You have 8 units, 8 properties. Is that correct?
Yep, and we've never put one penny down. We walk away with a check every single time.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, folks, if you don't know that, you need to get with a commercial lender. The money that he's talking about is a bank that, and they're in every market, and I've proven this to people in Houston, that there are commercial lenders that are madly in love with real estate because they're collateralized, and that's what you need to be a part of. And Tori just fortunately fell into that through this great realtor, and I got to know this realtor. Who is this realtor?
Her name's Tamara Smith.
Tamara Smith, Oklahoma City. Is she still doing real estate?
She is.
Well, you give her my F and fame. I'm going to call that girl today. Okay. I am. I don't know if today's landlord lunch, but I'm going to call her, and I'm going to find out. Okay. So then you get those two. Were you nervous? What was it like? I mean, no money down is like kid in a candy store. It's like a loaded gun. So, I mean, you get the keys, your first payment's 30 days after.
Yep. And like we were getting the rent within 2 weeks. Rent was transferred to us from Section A, and it was just finding people to walk us through it because we had no clue what we was doing. We was like, do we make them sign a new lease? What do? We don't even have keys to these places. Like, what's going on? So we got their old leases, and we never made them sign a new lease for actually 4 years. So it was just a month to month. But then finally Section 8, they're like, oh, we require a new lease. They haven't signed one in 10 years. So we ended up having to walk through a new lease with them. And
dude, I don't know how to say. I mean, I'm just lost for words, but I'm so excited. Let's move on. So how'd you get to the next one? So were you were you motivated? I mean, you must have been on fire. Like,
we were actually scared to death at that point. So we actually didn't get any more for 3 years because we were thinking that was a once in a lifetime miracle score. So we just didn't even start looking for houses. And John Day, the banker, he was like, hey, I'll give you more money. Go find some more. And was like, we'll wait. And so finally, about 3 years ago, where it's like, okay, it's time to just.
And that's when you read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Correct.
So John was like, I'm here. And because you're a safe borrower, you're a W-2, you work a full-time job, your wife has a job. What was your wife's mind when you said, hey, I'm going to go buy a rental property?
She was fully behind me. Yeah. She was like, whatever you want, we'll do it.
This chick, what's her name?
Alicia.
Man, I got to meet her too. I mean, you're just, man, you're doing it. Okay. So then you get these houses, and then now you're up to, how was your next find? So this amazing realtor named Tamara Smith, was she the only one that's been giving you deals? Because earlier off the radio, I was like, I just interviewed this wholesaler, and you're like, who? Have you ever bought a house from a wholesaler?
The last one we bought in January. This January, we finally used
a wholesaler. So last month, you used a wholesaler.
Yep. Other than that, it's all came from Tamara Smith.
Okay, so. And she would just serve you leads. Same philosophy. What's your mechanics now? Like what do you look for? Or what's your price range?
We kind of stay in the lower end still because we're still not got a huge credit with John yet. So we stay towards the lower end, about 50,000 or under, and we look for some that need a little bit of work or that their loan to value's under 70%.
You can ask John for 75 since you have 8. So you proved yourself. Just a little tip there, folks. Any market area? Is it Midwest City, South Side, North Side? Where do you tend to buy?
We primarily stay on the South Side. We just own one on the North Side, but we found our luck to be a lot better on the South Side.
And you manage these properties yourself?
I was up until about a month ago, and finally went into the bank to get a new limit. And I guess it was December, and he told me that need to start getting more organized. So I actually got a property management company to take over half of them, and got a new CPA because it's pretty sad. My banker was telling me that my taxes were done wrong, so I had to go find a new CPA.
So you've learned a lot trial by fire. What else have you learned that has stuck out to you now?
I'd say the biggest thing I learned was don't fall in love with a deal that is a turnkey until you do your homework. I thought it was an excellent deal, but it was kind of bait and switch. They had someone in there, lease signed and everything, but as soon as I took it over, they broke the lease and they jumped ship fast.
You know, same thing. This is so psycho, man. You're like the Savvy Landlord Part 2. Because I bought a house from a realtor, turnkey, everything's great, dude. There was no plumbing for the P-trap. It was a blow and go, and I to this day I only made $25 a month off that property, and it's been a reminder of the word turnkey I run. Or like you said, I need to be a lot more due diligent on that. Have you gotten stung at all in a property, like a tenant burn you or a contractor? The normal woes of real estate investing, and that's another thing. I mean, this radio interview is amazing. You're just positive. You're doing it. No money down, zero money in the game. What are the tough times that you've would overcome?
The worst time was that turnkey I bought. That was probably our fourth house that we bought, and as soon as the tenant moved out, went to do our investigation, and they moved all their furniture. All their furniture were hiding holes in the wall, no plumbing, no electric, no gas in the house. So we ended up having to fully redo the house and just sold it and cut our losses and hightailed it out of there.
Wow. I mean, straight hustle. You know, it's so funny I've heard of that before until it happened to me, but I saw that on a house that was in an auction the other day. Couple months ago, I went into this auction and everything was like paint on a turd, and like I opened, like everything looked new, but nothing, like things leaked. The bathroom wasn't hooked up, the gas line wasn't hooked up, but on the outside looking in, if you had no experience, you would think this was a deal, but then come to find out it wasn't. You know, it happened to me. I bought a house at an auction, and there was a room full of people in the house, and they're doing the auction in the property. And they were auctioning it off, and it was so like 60 people in the living room. And I didn't really do the due diligence. And actually, I purchased this property for my mom, which is another thing. But I moved the curtains from the wall, and it had all this termite damage. And so, folks, do your due diligence. It's on the cover of my red book. Due diligence always pays off. All right. So how about expansion? What's your goals and dreams from here? I mean, besides the Provision, and that's going down. So if you're in Yukon, Oklahoma, and you need some glasses in the next 3 to 6 months, there's going to be a brand new Pearl Vision, right?
Correct.
You excited about that?
It's going to be nice.
So you seem to be an entrepreneur. The real estate thing, you were scared, nervous. You have this amazing wife. Might be because small town, because my wife's amazing. I don't know. How'd you get this entrepreneurial? They didn't teach that in school. So where'd you get this entrepreneur bug, desire? Who influenced you?
And it would have been parents. They really influenced us. I mean, growing up, they supported us in anything we wanted. We didn't have a lot of money, but I mean, if we truly desired something, whether it be a band instrument, anything, they made it happen for us. So we didn't have a car for probably 6 months. We ended up having to walk everywhere, ride a school bus to school and everything, just because they got rid of the car to provide for us. So I wanted to make sure I could provide for my family without having to really sacrifice. So the only way, be a business owner. So from a young age, I was like, I'm going to own my own business. Didn't know what until I just kind of took a leap of faith and found the real estate and jumped all in it and found out that's my area.
Dude, you are just effing savvy landlord too. I mean, same thing. My mom sacrificed. I mean, as a child, I didn't realize it. The things that she did for me, and the horrible son that I was, all the sacrifices, and that has propelled me. People ask me all the time, "How do you stay motivated?" I don't want to be broke. We didn't have a car. I mean, my mom we were on food stamps. I mean, people have no idea. They just think, oh, you have X amount of units. You're some big. No, dude. I remember living in an apartment in California. We couldn't even eat. We had no furniture. I mean, it's amazing. And I think that's so that was your drive. And I had the same kind of goal. I wanted to own a business. I didn't know. I just wanted some prestige, I guess, or something valuable, because I came from nothing and I had nothing and I wanted something to contribute. Cool. All right, let's wind this down. We're only 25 minutes in this deal, so we got about 5 minutes left. Tell me about, you said you had a flip going. What makes you change gears and not be the landlord and entrepreneur of Eyeglass Guy to flipping a property, which is murder in my world?
Yeah, I'm learning the hard way. It is a tough deal to get into. But basically, the banker has helped me so much along the way.
This John Day guy.
He just wanted me to diversify, and he said he'd like me to do a flip. So I did the first flip, which was the turnkey I bought. Lost a lot of money, so I went to him. I'm like, I don't want to do this again. He goes, well, what's a college education worth? And I was like, well, okay. And he goes, so you learned a lot, so don't do it again. Go do another one. And so I'm doing another one, and it's going about the same way. So my college education's cost me quite a bit on this second one again.
Dude, you need to start taking advice from these jokers and get I'm telling you that I have failed miserably. Same scenarios. Bank would loan me money. Got it smoking a deal. $100,000 house for $50,000. How can you lose? I lost. Anyway, what advice would you give to someone that's thinking about getting into real estate?
Make connections. Connections will help you.
And you're 5 years back, and so you're just now doing that.
Exactly, and that's where I'm making up for lost ground. I mean, I've probably in the last 2 weeks contacted 10 to 15 wholesalers, just getting my name out there saying, hey, I have an open line of credit with the bank. Help me find a house.
Awesome. Yeah. Man, you're Tori, I cannot wait to have you back on the radio show. There's tons of events that in Oklahoma City. In any market, if you're in Chicago or Houston or Tennessee, there's local real estate clubs. They're called RIAs. There's meetups.com. Check it out. Here in Oklahoma City, we do an investor breakfast. That's the fourth Tuesday of the month. We do the landlord lunch, which is the third Wednesday of the month. And then there's usually some class going on somewhere. You need to get involved. And so I love that advice. I've really genuinely connected with you. Your story is so much like mine. I think there's someone out there that has a similar makeup of you. Would you mind sharing your email or something safe enough to give out so someone can contact you?
Yeah, email, it's pretty easy.
Okay.
It's just a Torry, Torry 405 at yahoo.com.
Okay, Torry405 at yahoo.com. Anyway, man, I appreciate your time, and I know you're busy, full-time job, 3 children, a wife, stay home, 8 units, flipping a house, stop doing that shit, and live your dream. Anyway, my name is Steven Van Kallenberg. I'm just excited to have a wonderful fellow investor. I cannot wait to see what Torry does. You got his email address, folks, Torry 405 at yahoo.com. Hit him up. Let him know that he is important, and give him better advice. Whatever you do, go buy assets.
Investor Weekend is not far off, with over 10 information sessions to increase your portfolio. Log on to www.investorweekend.com. Whether you are a seasoned investor or never purchased a property before, you don't want to miss the Investor Weekend. Join us for a powerful, knowledge-packed weekend with over 10 informational sessions that are bound to enlarge your real estate investments. You will hear from the best national and local real estate investors that will share practical and relevant experiences with you, the investor. There will be several networking sessions to connect with other like-minded people for potential funding, partnerships, and yes, hot deals. Go to www.investorweekend.com. Did you know we meet once a month for the Landlord Lunch meeting? The third Wednesday of every month. Go to landlordlunch.com.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.